Now, in doing so, we also had a little twist in the fate of the program. As we were getting closer toward the demonstration milestones, I believe our stakeholders became more confident that these capabilities really could emerge. And we moved from a strategy of being a side bet to depending on these capabilities. The shuttle was very close to retiring, and we knew now that we needed to become dependent on these capabilities. And our stakeholders asked, what could be done to increase the chances of success? What could be done to reduce the risk and increase the chances of success in the program? And when that question was asked to our partners, their first response was, well, some additional funding would be good. So we requested and received additional funding in the form of $300 million in the last 2 years of the program. Now, that money was not applied as incentive to the partners, not additional financial incentive. What we did was established augmentation series of milestones that reduced the technical risk in the program. So, although we could not afford all of the testing we would have liked to have seen in the initial round of proposals, this augmentation of funding allowed us to add in additional milestones that we negotiated with the partners. What could we do to add in additional ground testing that would reduce the risk and increases the chances of success? And I think that was a really excellent use of that additional funding. In the case of orbital, we would love to have seen more than one test flight. We only had one planned, and that additional funding allowed us to do a second test flight, a maiden flight of the Antares vehicle, which is very important in a development and demonstration program. And in the case of SpaceX, the additional funding allowed us to do some more ground testing at the system level. Electromagnetic testing, acoustic testing, thermal testing that just wasn't planned in the original series of milestones. And by the way, some of that ground testing really uncovered some important problems. Well, that's a good question about reserve. Certainly getting that augmentation funding proved very, very important and useful to the program. But if I put myself back at the beginning in the formulation phase, it would be very difficult to determine how much reserve you would hold in a program like this. It would be very difficult because we don't need reserve in the traditional sense, because it was fixed price, the milestones were defined, our participation was defined. So in that sense, we weren't thinking of reserve in the traditional sense. We didn't have that. I think more importantly, with the funding you have available, just put it to best use by putting the best test program and development program you can together. But it would have been very hard to fence off any money for unknown unknowns in this program.